ਜਸ ਪੰਜਾਬੀ ਦੇਖਦੇ ਹੋਏ ਸਾਰੇ ਦਰਸ਼ਕਾਂ ਨੂੰ ਮੇਰੇ ਵੱਲੋਂ ਪਿਆਰ ਭਰੀ ਸਤਿ ਸ਼੍ਰੀ ਅਕਾਲ। ਤੁਹਾਡਾ ਸਵਾਗਤ ਪ੍ਰੋਗਰਾਮ ਅੱਜ ਦਾ ਮੁੱਦਾ ਦੇ ਵਿੱਚ। ਅੱਜ ਅਸੀਂ ਪਹੁੰਚੇ ਹਾਂ ਕੁਈਨਜ਼ ਨਿਊਯਾਰਕ ਦੇ ਵਿੱਚ ਕਰਮਜੀਤ ਸਿੰਘ ਧਾਲੀਵਾਲ ਜੀ ਦੇ ਗੈਸ ਸਟੇਸ਼ਨ ਤੇ ਇੱਕ ਬਹੁਤ ਹੀ ਇੰਪੋਰਟੈਂਟ ਇਵੈਂਟ ਹੋਣ ਜਾ ਰਹੀ ਹੈ। Candidate for governor Lee Zeldin जो कि रिपब्लिकन टिकट ते खड़े हुए हैं। पहले उन्होंने कोई इन्नी वड्डी लीड नहीं सी बिकॉज न्यूयॉर्क एक ट्रेडिशनली ब्लू स्टेट डेमोक्रेटिक स्टेट हैगी, बट इत्थे दे डेमोक्रेटिक गवर्नर कैथी होकल दी कल रात की परफॉर्मेंस तो बाद लगता नहीं है कि न्यूयॉर्क एक ब्लू स्टेट रहूगी अगले ट्यूसडे तो बाद। इन फैक्ट कल की डिबेट दे विच असी ये वेख्या कि क्राइम किन्ने वड्डे लैवल ते न्यूयॉर्कर्स दे दिमाग उत्ते छाया होया है। भावें वो बेल रिफॉर्म होए, भावें वो सबवे दे विच जो क्राइम दे वधदे होए स्टैटिस्टिक्स दिन बर दिन असी सुनने आ, किसी नू ट्रेन थले देता, किसी नू स्लैश करता, शूट करता। एक स्टैटिस्टिक सानू दसदा है कि न्यूयॉर्क सिटी दे सबवेज दे विच क्राइम 57% वध चुकिया है। इन फैक्ट कुछ स्टैटिस्टिक्स सानू ये भी दसदे है कि जो 80s दा क्राइम वेव सीगी उस हद तक अज क्राइम न्यूयॉर्क विच पहुंच चुके हैं कि ली ज़ेल्डिन इस क्राइम के मुद्दे नू लैके एक जित प्राप्त कर सकते हैं। इस चीज़ बारे सुनांगे क्योंकि अज इस गैस स्टेशन ते ली ज़ेल्डिन आप पहुंच रहे हैं। करमजीत सिंह धालीवाल अते कम्यूनिटी दे वख-वख मैंबर्स, बिजनेस ओनर्स, साडी कम्यूनिटी ते होर एशियन अमेरिकन कम्यूनिटीज़, इटैलियन अमेरिकन कम्यूनिटीज़ सारे इत्थे पहुंच रहे हैं। ये पुछण लई ली ज़ेल्डिन नू क्यों तुहानू इलैक्ट करना चाहिए अते आप दी सपोर्ट दिखाण लई कि क्यों ਉਹ ਲੀ ਜ਼ੈਲਡਨ ਲਈ ਖੜੇ। ਇਨ ਫੈਕਟ ਨਾ ਕਿ ਸਿਰਫ ਡਿਫਰੈਂਟ ਕਮਿਊਨਿਟੀਜ਼ ਤੋਂ ਲੋਕੀ ਪਹੁੰਚੇ, ਡੈਮੋਕ੍ਰੈਟਸ ਵੀ ਇੱਥੇ ਪਹੁੰਚੇ। ਹੁਣ ਅਸੀਂ ਗੱਲ ਕਰ ਰਹੇ ਹਾਂ ਵਿਦ ਸਿਟੀ ਕਾਉਂਸਲਮੈਨ ਰੋਬਰਟ ਹੋਲਡਨ। Councilman Holden, you're here at a gathering of South Asian business owners. A lot of these folks have small businesses, gas stations, grocery stores, convenience marts, and everyone is reiterating the increase in crime. How do you feel that the Republican ticket up and down the ballot, including Lee Zeldin, will take care of this immense problem growing in New York City?
Well, I'm a Democrat, and I'm crossing party lines because my community, the safety of our families, our businesses, our livelihoods are at stake here. And Kathy Hochul hasn't done the job. She hasn't done it. She's been in for 14 months, and things have gotten worse. Everything's gotten worse. And Mr. Dhaliwal runs many businesses, and he's complaining to me. He's in my district. This is my district in Glendale. He's complaining about all the crime, all the robberies. We just had a gentleman's business was hit today. They took the ATM this morning. This is an epidemic. And what Lee Zeldin will do, and if you saw the debate, he did an amazing job. But we need to get everyone out to vote. The South Asian community has to vote for safety. And Lee Zeldin is the answer. This is our lives are literally at stake here.
Councilman, one of the statistics mentioned in last night's debate is that crime in the subways is up 57%. Now that may seem like a downstate problem, but how does Lee Zeldin tackle crime up and down New York State? The numbers we're looking at may be focusing on city statistics, but crime is up all across the state. How does Lee Zeldin come into office and take care of problems that look very different downstate versus upstate?
Well, the first thing he said, he's going to fire Alvin Bragg, that's a good step, first step. But you have to eliminate the bail reform measures because that let everyone out. We've had a number of people, 70, 80, 90 crimes. If you commit property crime now, you're not going to jail. So he's going to change that. Lee Zeldin will change that. He'll change the bail reform. He'll get rid of Bragg, but he'll bring law and order back to the city, and that's what we need. However he does it, I mean, there's different things he can do. There's a lot more, but he's going to create a crime emergency. That means he's going to eliminate the cashless bail, which is an epidemic of problems in this city. We used to have a very safe city. And I remember that. I remember the bad old days of the 80s and 90s when there were thousands of murders a year. We're not that bad yet, but we're getting there. We're headed in the wrong direction. And Mr. Dhaliwal is the guy that, again, he's our eyes and ears on the ground here, and he's telling me it's an epidemic of crime that's committed against their businesses. They shouldn't have to put up with that.
In closing, Councilman, you're speaking directly to South Asians, not just in New York, obviously in New York City, but nationwide. Ahead of the midterms, less than 2 weeks from now, what message do you have to share with this community when it comes to the power of casting their vote?
Well, again, that's the most important thing they can do. As a Democrat, I don't care if you're a Democrat, Republican, Independent, you have to go out and vote, and you have to vote for Lee Zeldin. I'm crossing party lines. I'm risking my political future because my community is more important than politics. So we have to do the right thing here. We have to go out and vote, and tell your friends, tell your neighbors, your family. Everyone has to go out. Our lives are at stake here.
Thank you so much, Councilman Robert Holden. Appreciate your time. ਕਿਉਂ ਡੈਮੋਕ੍ਰੈਟਸ ਇੱਕ ਰਿਪਬਲਿਕਨ ਨੂੰ ਸਪੋਰਟ ਕਰ ਰਹੇ ਹੈ ਇਸ ਇਲੈਕਸ਼ਨ ਦੇ ਵਿੱਚ? ਇਹ ਸਾਰੀ ਜਾਣਕਾਰੀ ਤੁਸੀਂ ਵੇਖ ਸਕਦੇ ਹੋ ਬ੍ਰੇਕ ਤੋਂ ਉਸ ਪਾਰ ਇਸ ਪ੍ਰੈਸ ਕਾਨਫਰੰਸ ਦੇ ਵਿੱਚ। ਇਸੇ ਤਰ੍ਹਾਂ ਸਾਡੇ ਨਾਲ ਜੁੜੇ ਰਹੋ।
I'm Councilman Robert Holden. I'm a Democrat, but I'm crossing party lines. Why? Because all you have to do is look what's happening in New York City and New York State on a daily basis. Now we have with us a wonderful, again, a South Asian American, a wonderful South Asian American, again, Karamjit Dhaliwal, who I've known for several years, owns this gas station and many other gas stations. And we're here with about 140 men and women who represent the South Asian community. And they represent a lot of gas stations. And they're fed up. They're fed up with all the robberies and burglaries that they're experiencing. The assaults. We've had men assaulted here, workers, by customers sometimes on a daily basis throughout the city. And it's an epidemic. When you have the South Asian community coming together and saying they're going to cross party lines also, like me, many are Democrats, but more importantly that they really fix this city and they could raise their families here and run a business without being assaulted. It's not happening. Again, Kathy Hochul, the governor, 14 months in, things have gotten worse, haven't they? Everybody can say that. Things have gotten worse. People won't take the subway. We were on the subway yesterday. We saw incidents. My wife will never, ever, she said, get on the subway again. She's an Asian American. She said, I will not do it at any cost. We can't live like this. We can't live like this. So we need to elect Lee Zeldin, the next governor of New York State. Now we're at a point. Now I want to bring up a great American. Mr. Dhaliwal is just trying to do his business and feed his family, and again, employs dozens of people, but they're afraid. They're afraid to go to work every day. They might be assaulted at any time. And again, this is something that we have to address. And the only way to do it, and you saw Kathy Hochul last night saying, oh, why are you so concerned about crime, Lee Zeldin? Can you believe that? Why are you so concerned about letting people out of jail to commit other crimes? That's how clueless Kathy Hochul is. So I want to bring up, again, Mike Dhaliwal, who is, like I said, is a good friend and a great American. Come on up.
Thank you. Good morning to everyone. And thank you, Mr. Lee, Mr. Coming here, Bob Holden, Mike, for a future assemblyman around here. Here today, we have issues. That's why we're here together. We have a big problem with the crimes. We are getting robbed every week, every single day. They are coming to steal stuff from our gas station, beating my employees, robbing nighttime, jumping behind the counters, and is a danger. There's a danger. This is not America. We came. This is a different country. We feel like that. There's our governor. She's not doing nothing to control the crimes. Bail reform have to stop, have to amend. We cannot take that. The police doing good job. They catching the guys, but the judge letting them go right away. So we also supporting NYPD. They're doing hard work, but their hands tight because of our system. The governor Hochul, she's not doing enough. to stop the crimes. We are here to Mr. Zeldin, supporting him. We also Democrat, we help them, but this time we need to cross the line. Save our community, save our children, save our America. So we have to support and vote for Jesus. Mr. Zeldin are here today to get fundraising. I'm telling you, everybody. He's here because he cares about the community. He cares about crimes. Mostly politicians go do fundraising. Here today is not coming for fundraising. He came here to care about us. Please, let's wake up and support him. Thank you, Mr. Lee.
Thank you, Mike. Thank you, Mike. Mike is the owner here. Councilman Holden, for your remarks and for your support. This is truly a campaign about being able to take back our streets, to be able to secure our streets. Whether you're a small business owner, you run a gas station, having to deal with the realities of people who come in, take inventory and not pay, maybe even assault your employees, and you feel helpless because you can call your local law enforcement, you can call your local prosecutors, you can tell them what is happening, but the reality today is that the handcuffs are getting thrown on the criminal justice system, rather than slapping those handcuffs on the people who are actually committing the crimes. I was asking Mike while we were just meeting, how often do you have crimes being committed right here? He says it happens a few times a week. Speaking to someone else in our meeting just now, when was the last time that you've had a crime committed at your gas station? He said this morning. We're not talking about a rare occurrence here. It's rare to have a day where you're not experiencing crimes being committed. And this is a community. This is family. They're all in this together. We're all in this together. We're not here today as Republicans or Democrats or independents. We're here as New Yorkers.
Yes.
And last night when we were at this debate, after there were a number of questions asked by the moderators specific to crime, I pointed out that we're almost through this entire crime conversation, and still, Kathy Hochul was not talking about locking up the criminals. And she has the nerve to say, it's bad enough to think it, but she has the nerve to actually say out loud, questioning why it's so important to me, fighting crime, locking up criminals. Speak to the men and women who are here, why this is important. Speak to the Asian American community about what they have lived through when Michelle Go got pushed in front of an oncoming subway car. Members of their own community stabbed to death in Lower Manhattan, beaten to death on the street with a hammer. Speak to the Sikh community about turbans that get knocked off, just trying to practice your religious freedom. And you're going to pray, and you're being attacked. You're a Sikh cab driver getting assaulted because you're wearing a turban. You're a Jewish New Yorker being attacked because you're wearing a yarmulke. So this is about all of us, concerned about raw, violent hate, wanting to do everything in our power to take back our streets. Why is it so important to me? I mean, I could have been talking about what happened just 2 or 3 Sundays ago on my own front yard. There was a gang-related drive-by shooting on my own property while my 16-year-old girls were at home on a quiet Sunday afternoon doing their homework. This is as personal as it gets for all New Yorkers. And Kathy Hochul isn't getting the job done. The people who are in charge right now in Albany feel like they haven't passed enough pro-criminal laws. They need to go up to Albany to pass even more. We need to support our men and women in law enforcement. We need to make sure that judges have discretion to weigh dangerousness as part of our package of addressing these pro-criminal laws that have been passed. We have to ensure that, Mike, his employees, all the business owners who are here and their employees can show up to work, can do their shift. The people who come in as customers, everyone who walks in the door is paying for whatever they are leaving with. That people are safe and they can go about their lives, knowing that the elected officials have their backs, know that law enforcement have the tools to have their backs, that prosecutors can prosecute, and DAs can be district attorneys to enforce the law. I want to thank everybody for being here. Again, Councilman Holden, who has been courageous in doing what is right to make sure that the people of his district are safe. I know we're joined here by Tony Nunziata, the chair of the Queens County Republican Committee. I want to again thank Mike, our host here, Mike Canigliero, who's running our state assembly candidate here. To everyone for coming out, and I'd be happy to answer any questions. The reality of this moment, while we're here for a press conference, this is with security here. This is with cameras here, okay? This is with a whole lot of people here. And you see how people are emboldened to challenge employees of this gas station, ready for physical confrontation right here. So 3 weeks ago, one of Mike's employees were assaulted right here when we're having this press conference. You almost witnessed something play out right here in front of all of the cameras just now, despite security. Despite all of us and despite all of you. But anyway, do you have any questions? Yes, ma'am.
Hey, good morning, Ayanna Harry with Pix 11. You have held multiple events calling out issues of crime, but there's certainly other issues in the state. Here in New York City, there's still a higher unemployment rate than other parts of the country. Is there a point where you will sort of shift to do more events that focus on other pressing topics in the state, or do you feel like continuing to talk about crime is going to be sort of your primary message leading up to election day?
Well, listen, the sense of urgency that I'm hearing from Mike and the other employees and small business owners here in this community of gas station owners, this is an act of desperation for us to be here right now raising awareness for this issue. I'll tell you something else with a sense of urgency that all of us should be greatly concerned about, is that we just finally had the state scores released for our schools. And there's a massive performance gap right now that is expanding between New York and the national average. We're seeing, as a result of the pandemic and lockdown policies, the impact on our kids, really their generation has suffered the most of all generations. And I really appreciate your question, Ayanna, and quite frankly, if you asked me 6 times over again, I'll give you 6 different other topics that are very important. But first and foremost on my mind this morning, on top of what we're here to discuss, our kids don't even have a vote. If you look at the 4th grade reading and math performance scores on the tests that were just released, New York spends 2.5 times more per pupil than than Florida and Mississippi, for example. Now, same tests, despite the far less amount that is spent per pupil, they are performing better. Black students, Hispanic students, low-income students, same test. What are we doing wrong? We have to raise our game as it relates to education. We have to challenge our kids to go further. We need to achieve better outcomes. We need to lift the cap on charter schools. We need to promote advanced academics. There's an assault right now on merit-based entry into specialty schools. We have to reward hard work and success. We can't discriminate. We can't discriminate against our students because they're Asian. Mayor de Blasio, he said that he wanted New York specialty schools to look like America. He wasn't talking about the white kids. He was talking about the Asian kids. And by the way, my daughters, I have an Asian American family. The thought that my daughters can check a box that might say Asian American and that somehow they would get discriminated against because of it is wrong. So if you were to talk to the people who are here, first and foremost right now with an incredible amount of urgency, we're hearing people talk about not being able to go through their day without incident. We weren't able to go through our press conference without incident. But I'll tell you that for these parents who are here, There is incredible urgency to improve the quality of education in our schools. There are poor performing public schools. By the way, in the state, there are good public schools. I want to lift up all schools, public and non-public. We can't have our kids trapped in multi-generational poverty. And right now, we really have an urgency in lifting up our game inside of our school system. Very much appreciate your question, and always happy to delve into all sorts of other topics. By the way, and this is one of the reasons why there should be multiple debates across the state.
That's right.
Because we didn't even, I will say Spectrum and NY1 did a fantastic job. Errol Lewis and Susan Arbetter did a great job moderating yesterday's debate. I found them to be fair. We covered a lot of ground. But unfortunately, with just 1 hour and one debate, and a whole lot of people, by the way, have already voted, because, and this was on purpose, that Kathy Hochul wanted to wait until the end of October, well after a month, after absentee ballots started going out. We didn't even have a conversation about education in our schools.
Good morning. Julian Shenbero with Politico. You've been asked a lot about January 6th, and the governor pressed on it again last night. Could you just clarify, do you believe the 2020 election results are valid?
Now, I'm just curious, how many more times you'd want me to say this beyond what I'm about to tell you? Because I'm pretty sure you look like a smart guy. You've heard me say this before. I have never once said that the 2020 election of Joe Biden was illegitimate. I didn't say it at any point ever. But the evolution for Kathy Hochul, who doesn't want to talk about crime, she wants to know why it's so important to me. She doesn't want to talk about her pay-to-play corruption. She doesn't want to engage in multiple debates across the state. She wants you, honestly, to be here asking me about the question you asked, when, quite frankly, the rest of New Yorkers really want to hear us answer questions like what Ayanna just asked. Thinking it in her head, let alone actually saying it out loud.
Last question right here.
Last question right here.
Aashmeeta, JUS TV, Indian Media. Candidate Zeldin, what is your message to all of those Democrats in a historically blue state that would never vote for a Republican, but maybe not so thrilled with Governor Hochul's performance? What do you say to them on why they should vote for you?
Republicans, Democrats, and independents need to look at this opportunity less than 2 weeks away as their opportunity as New Yorkers to save New York City and save New York State. Yes. They have an opportunity to restore balance and common sense up in Albany. Everything has gone too far left up in Albany.
Yeah. That's right.
There are a lot of common sense Democrats. Bob Holden is proud to be a common sense Democrat.
Yes.
Bravo! And there are a lot of other Democrats out there who proudly view themselves as independent-minded. They're New Yorkers, first and foremost. They care about rising crime and skyrocketing costs. They care about being able to feed their family and heat their home. They care about soaring crime and DAs who release violent criminals to roam free on our streets. And these New Yorkers, first and foremost as New Yorkers, need to take control of their destiny, their family's destiny, their community's destiny, and do their part to save our state.
Happening at Randall's Island and the buses that are still being sent not only to New York City but to New York State every day.
Yeah, buses and flights. There are people who are coming into, they've been coming into New York for a while, and New Yorkers want to know who's coming, where they're coming from, where they're going to. That's one. So as governor of the state of New York, providing that transparency is important. Two, is that if you had a great day today where the mayor, the governor of red states, blue states, everyone got 100% on the same page. They did absolutely everything in their power to solve this. The problem is it still can't be solved and will get worse the next day because you need the federal government doing more to secure our southern border. The governor needs to specifically call on President Biden. In my opinion, by the way, I'm only here speaking for myself on this. I believe that we should finish construction of the border wall. We should end catch and release. We should enforce the Remain in Mexico policy. We should support our Customs and Border Patrol agents. We shouldn't be incentivizing and rewarding illegal entry. it's my opinion. It's my opinion. It's my opinion that we should be doing more to secure our southern border. I also believe strongly that if we don't, that even if you got every blue city, red state, elected on the same exact page, it's still going to get worse the next day. So as far as Mayor Adams goes, his hands are full. You know, in many respects, his hands are tied. I will say that as far as policies go, that there are policies from the city, state, and national level that I believe incentivize and reward illegal entry. For me personally, and I spoke about it last night, I do not support giving non-citizens the right to vote. Hundreds of thousands of non-citizens were given the right to vote in a law that was recently overturned. I'm just giving that as one example and stating my opinion because I believe the voters deserve to know where I stand on everything before they vote, not afterwards. So from that respect, listen, if the city wants to look at some of its policies, if the state wants to look at its policies, if the federal government wants to look at its policies, we should always view it, whether we're talking education or whether we're talking about just people in government, and maybe you're trying to deal with the topic of immigration. We always should strive to do better. All of us. Anyone out there giving themselves a pat on the back saying we tried our best, there's nothing else to do here, I am more suspicious of you than anyone else.
ਕਿੰਨੇ ਮਾਣ ਦੀ ਗੱਲ ਹੈ ਕਿ ਇੱਥੇ ਸਾਡੇ ਪੰਜਾਬੀਆਂ ਦੇ ਗੈਸ ਸਟੇਸ਼ਨ ਤੇ ਗਵਰਨਰ ਦਾ ਕੈਂਡੀਡੇਟ ਆ ਕੇ ਇੰਨਾ ਟਾਈਮ ਸਪੈਂਡ ਕਰਕੇ ਮੀਡੀਆ ਦੇ ਸਾਰੇ ਸਵਾਲਾਂ ਦਾ ਜਵਾਬ ਦੇ ਕੇ ਗਿਆ। ਗਵਰਨਰ ਕੈਂਡੀਡੇਟ ਲੀ ਜ਼ੈਲਡਨ ਇੱਥੇ ਸਾਡੇ ਨਾਲ ਮੌਜੂਦ ਸੀ। ਇਸ ਪੂਰੇ ਪ੍ਰੋਗਰਾਮ ਨੂੰ ਆਰਗੇਨਾਈਜ਼ ਕਰਨ ਪਿੱਛੇ ਹੱਥ ਕਰਮਜੀਤ ਸਿੰਘ ਧਾਲੀਵਾਲ ਜੀ ਦਾ। ਸਾਰੇ ਕਮਿਊਨਿਟੀ ਮੈਂਬਰ ਸਾਡੇ ਨਾਲ ਇੱਥੇ ਰਲ ਕੇ ਖੜੇ ਹੈ। ਕ੍ਰਾਈਮ ਉੱਤੇ ਖਾਸ ਕਰਕੇ ਸਮਾਲ ਬਿਜ਼ਨਸ ਓਨਰਸ ਲਈ ਤੁਸੀਂ ਕਿਉਂ ਲੀ ਜ਼ੈਲਡਨ ਨੂੰ ਸਪੋਰਟ ਕਰ ਰਹੇ ਹੋ? ਕੀ ਤੁਹਾਡੀ ਉਮੀਦ ਹੈ ਕਰਮਜੀਤ ਜੀ ਕਿ ਬਾਕੀ ਸਾਡੀ ਕਮਿਊਨਿਟੀ ਤੇ ਹੋਰ ਸਮਾਲ ਬਿਜ਼ਨਸ ਓਨਰਸ ਲਈ ਲੀ ਜ਼ੈਲਡਨ ਕੀ ਕੁਝ ਕਰੂਗਾ?
ਮੇਰੇ ਵੱਲੋਂ ਸਾਰਿਆਂ ਨੂੰ ਸਤਿ ਸ੍ਰੀ ਅਕਾਲ ਸੁਣਨ ਵਾਲਿਆਂ ਨੂੰ। ਅਸੀਂ ਇਕੱਠੇ ਹੋਏ ਹਾਂ ਅੱਜ ਕਿਉਂਕਿ ਅਸੀਂ ਪਹਿਲਾਂ ਅੱਜ ਤੱਕ ਡੈਮੋਕ੍ਰੇਟ ਨੂੰ ਸਪੋਰਟ ਕਰਦੇ ਆਏ ਹਾਂ ਬਹੁਤ ਸਟਰੋਂਗਲੀ। ਮੇਅਰਾਂ ਨੂੰ, ਦੂਜੇ ਗਵਰਨਰ ਨੂੰ, ਸਾਰੇ ਸਟੇਟ ਲੈਵਲ ਤੇ ਸਿਟੀ ਲੈਵਲ ਤੇ ਸਪੋਰਟ ਕੀਤੀ ਹੈ। ਪਰ ਇਸ ਟਾਈਮ ਤੁਹਾਡੀ ਜਿਹੜੀ ਆਤਮਾ ਜਿਹੜੀ ਜ਼ਮੀਰ ਆ ਗਈ ਉਹ ਕਹਿ ਰਹੀ ਹੈ ਬਈ ਹੁਣ ਬੰਦ ਕਰੀਏ। ਅਸੀਂ ਇੱਕ ਪਾਸੇ ਚੱਲ ਗਏ ਨਾ ਕਿਉਂ ਕ੍ਰਾਈਮ ਬਹੁਤ ਜ਼ਿਆਦਾ ਵੱਧ ਚੁੱਕੇ ਆ। ਨਿਊਯਾਰਕ ਦੇ ਵਿੱਚ ਕੋਈ ਵੀ ਬੰਦਾ ਸੇਫ ਨਹੀਂ ਗਾ ਕਿ ਨਿਊਯਾਰਕ ਹੀ ਸਾਰੇ ਅਮਰੀਕਾ ਦੇ ਵਿੱਚ ਹੀ ਆ ਇਹ ਪ੍ਰੋਬਲਮ ਚੱਲ ਰਹੀ ਹੈ ਜਦੋਂ ਦਾ ਇਹ ਸਾਰਾ ਕੁਝ ਚੱਲਿਆ। ਲਾਈਵ ਡੇਂਜਰ ਦੇ ਵਿੱਚ ਹੈ ਹਰੇਕ ਸਟੇਸ਼ਨ, ਹਰੇਕ ਬਿਜ਼ਨਸ ਰੌਬ ਹੋ ਰਿਹਾ ਤੇ ਅਸੀਂ ਬਹੁਤ ਯਾਨੀ ਫੈਡ ਅਪ ਹੋ ਚੁੱਕੇ ਹਾਂ। ਕੋਈ ਸੇਫਟੀ ਨਹੀਂ ਹੈ। ਤਾਂ ਹੁਣ ਇਹੀ ਸੋਚਿਆ ਵੀ ਰਿਪਬਲਿਕਨ ਨੂੰ ਸਪੋਰਟ ਕੀਤੀ ਜਾਵੇ ਕਿਉਂਕਿ ਇਹਨਾਂ ਕੋਲੇ ਵਿਜ਼ਨ ਹੈ, ਇਹਨਾਂ ਕੋਲੇ ਆਈਡੀਆ ਹੈ ਵੀ ਆਪਾਂ ਕੰਟਰੋਲ ਕਿਵੇਂ ਕਰਨਾ ਕ੍ਰਾਈਮ ਤੇ। ਇਹਨਾਂ ਪੁਲਿਸ ਨਾਲ ਵਰਕਆਊਟ ਕਰਦੇ ਆ, ਸਿਸਟਮ ਨੂੰ ਕਰਦੇ ਆ। ਜਿਵੇਂ ਬੇਲ ਰਿਫਾਰਮ ਹੈ ਇਹ ਬੰਦ ਕਰਨਗੇ। ਅੱਜ ਕੱਲ੍ਹ ਬੰਦਾ ਫੜ ਲੈਂਦੇ ਆ ਤੇ ਪੁਲਿਸ ਵਾਲੇ ਤੇ ਜੱਜ 2 ਮਿੰਟਾਂ 'ਚ ਉਹਨੂੰ ਬਾਹਰ ਕੱਢ ਦਿੰਦਾ। ਕੋਈ ਵੀ ਬੰਦਾ ਸੇਫ ਨਹੀਂ ਗਾ। ਇਸ ਕਰਕੇ ਅਸੀਂ ਜ਼ੈਲਡਨ ਨੂੰ ਸਪੋਰਟ ਕਰ ਰਹੇ ਹਾਂ।
ਕਰਮਜੀਤ ਜੀ ਤੁਹਾਡਾ ਕੀ ਮੈਸੇਜ ਹੈ ਬਾਕੀ ਸਾਡੀ ਜੋ ਕਮਿਊਨਿਟੀ ਵੇਖ ਰਹੀ ਹੈ ਉਹਨਾਂ ਲਈ? ਅਸੀਂ ਸੋਚਦੇ ਹਾਂ ਕਿ ਸਿਰਫ ਫੰਡ ਰੇਜ਼ਿੰਗ ਜਾਂ ਪੈਸੇ ਡੋਨੇਟ ਕਰਕੇ ਕੰਮ ਹੋ ਜਾਣਾ ਹੈ। ਵੋਟ ਪਾਉਣ ਦੇ ਮੁੱਦੇ ਉੱਤੇ ਤੁਸੀਂ ਕੀ ਕਹਿਣਾ ਚਾਹੁੰਦੇ ਹੋ? 2 ਹਫ਼ਤਿਆਂ ਦੇ ਵਿੱਚ ਮਿਡ ਟਰਮ ਇਲੈਕਸ਼ਨਸ ਹੈ, ਕੀ ਤੁਸੀਂ ਮੈਸੇਜ ਦੇਣਾ ਚਾਹੁੰਦੇ ਹੋ ਕਮਿਊਨਿਟੀ ਨੂੰ?
ਅਸੀਂ ਇਹ ਹੱਥ ਜੋੜ ਕੇ ਬੇਨਤੀ ਕਰਦੇ ਹਾਂ ਆਪਣੀ ਕਮਿਊਨਿਟੀ ਵੱਲ, ਜਿੰਨੇ ਵੀ ਆਵਾਜ਼ ਸੁਣਦੇ ਆ ਜਾਂ ਦੇਖ ਰਹੇ ਹੈਗੇ। ਆਪਾਂ ਸਾਰੇ ਸਫਰ ਕਰ ਰਹੇ ਹਾਂ ਕ੍ਰਾਈਮ ਦੇ ਵਿੱਚ। ਹੁਣ ਆਪਾਂ ਉਹ ਨਾ ਸੋਚ ਕੇ ਰੰਗ ਕਿਹਦਾ ਲਵਾਇਆ ਵਾ, ਰੰਗ ਲਵਾਉਣਾ ਛੱਡ ਕੇ ਇੱਕ ਸ਼ੇਰਾਂ ਵਾਲਾ ਆਪਣੇ ਬਾਬੇ ਗੁਰੂ ਨਾਨਕ ਨੇ ਵੀ ਕ੍ਰਾਂਤੀ ਲਿਆਂਦੀ ਸੀਗੀ। ਆਪਾਂ ਵੀ ਉਹ ਕੌਮ ਹੈ ਜਾਂ ਇਨਸਾਨੀਅਤ ਨੂੰ ਲੈ ਕੇ ਚੱਲੇ ਗਏ ਵੀ ਆਪਾਂ ਦੇਖੀਏ ਆਪਣੇ ਸਾਹਮਣੇ ਕ੍ਰਾਈਮ ਹੋ ਰਿਹਾ, ਅਸੀਂ ਜਾਣਬੁੱਝ ਕੇ ਫਿਰ ਵੀ ਉਸ ਪਾਰਟੀ ਨੂੰ ਸਪੋਰਟ ਕਰਦੇ ਹਾਂ ਤਾਂ ਸਾਡੀ ਗਲਤੀ ਆ। ਵੀ ਨੀਡ ਚੇਂਜ। ਹੁਣ ਘਰ ਦੇ ਵਿੱਚੋਂ ਬਾਹਰ ਜਾ ਕੇ ਵੋਟ ਪਾਓ, ਪਲੀਜ਼ ਲੇਜ਼ੀ ਨਾ ਹੋਵੋ। ਤੁਹਾਡੀ ਵੋਟ ਬਹੁਤ ਇੰਪੋਰਟੈਂਟ ਹੈ। ਬੜਾ ਹੀ ਟਾਈਮ ਗਲਤ ਤਰੀਕੇ ਜਾ ਰਿਹਾ। ਆਪਾਂ ਸਾਰੇ ਕੰਟਰੀ ਛੱਡ ਕੇ ਅਮਰੀਕਾ 'ਚ ਆਏ ਹਾਂ। ਅਮਰੀਕਾ ਦੇ ਵਿੱਚ ਅਸੀਂ ਸੇਫ ਨਹੀਂ ਗਏ ਅਤੇ ਆਪਣੀ ਵੀ ਗਲਤੀ ਹੈ ਜੇ ਵੋਟ ਨਾ ਪਾਵਾਂਗੇ ਤਾਂ। ਫਿਰ ਕੱਲ੍ਹ ਨੂੰ ਨਾ ਕਿਉਂ ਯਾਰ ਉਹ ਫਲਾਨਾ ਕਰ ਰਿਹਾ, ਕਿਉਂ ਧੋਖਾ ਕਰ ਰਿਹਾ। ਸਾਡੀ ਵੀ ਡਿਊਟੀ ਬਣਦੀ ਹੈ। ਅਸੀਂ ਹੁਣ ਆਪਦੀ ਵੋਟ ਕੈਸ਼ ਕਰਕੇ ਜਾ ਕੇ ਚੇਂਜ ਲੈ ਕੇ ਆਈਏ। ਥੈਂਕ ਯੂ ਸੋ ਮਚ। ਪਲੀਜ਼ ਵੋਟ ਜ਼ਰੂਰ ਪਾਇਓ।
ਥੈਂਕ ਯੂ ਸੋ ਮਚ ਕਰਮਜੀਤ ਸਿੰਘ ਧਾਲੀਵਾਲ ਜੀ। ਇਹਨਾਂ ਦੇ ਗੈਸ ਸਟੇਸ਼ਨ ਤੇ ਪੂਰੀ ਰੌਣਕ ਲੱਗੀ ਹੋਈ ਹੈ। ਕਮਿਊਨਿਟੀ ਦੇ ਵੱਖ-ਵੱਖ ਮੈਂਬਰਸ ਇੱਥੇ ਮੌਜੂਦ ਹਨ ਤੇ ਮੈਂ ਤੁਹਾਨੂੰ ਥੋੜੀ ਜਿਹੀ ਹੋਰ ਮੈਂਬਰਸ ਦੇ ਨਾਲ ਗੱਲ ਕਰਾਉਣਾ ਚਾਹੁੰਦੀ ਹਾਂ। ਇਸ ਗੈਦਰਿੰਗ ਦੇ ਵਿੱਚ ਸਾਡੇ ਕਮਿਊਨਿਟੀ ਲਈ ਕਿੰਨੀ ਇਹ ਮਾਣ ਦੀ ਗੱਲ ਹੈ ਕਿ ਗਵਰਨਰ ਦਾ ਕੈਂਡੀਡੇਟ ਆ ਕੇ ਇੰਨਾ ਟਾਈਮ ਖੜ ਕੇ ਗਿਆ ਗੈਸ ਸਟੇਸ਼ਨ ਦੇ ਵਿੱਚ, ਉਹਨਾਂ ਨੇ ਪ੍ਰੋਪਰ ਟਾਈਮ ਸਾਰਿਆਂ ਨੂੰ ਦਿੱਤਾ। ਇਹਦੇ ਬਾਰੇ ਤੁਸੀਂ ਕੀ ਕਹਿਣਾ ਚਾਹੋਗੇ?
ਬੇਸਿਕਲੀ ਜਿੱਦਾਂ ਬਾਈ ਉਹਨਾਂ ਨੇ ਕਿਹਾ ਜੀ ਸਾਡੀ ਜਿਹੜੀ ਸੋਚ ਆ ਨਾ ਸਾਨੂੰ ਬਾਹਰ ਆਉਣਾ ਚਾਹੀਦਾ ਉਹਦੇ ਵਿੱਚੋਂ ਭਾਵੇਂ ਕੋਈ ਡੈਮੋਕ੍ਰੈਟ ਆ ਭਾਵੇਂ ਕੋਈ ਰਿਪਬਲਿਕਨ ਆ ਸਾਨੂੰ ਦੇਖਣਾ ਚਾਹੀਦਾ ਕਿ ਜਿਹੜਾ ਕੈਂਡੀਡੇਟ ਖੜਾ ਉਹਦੀ ਕ੍ਰੈਡੀਬਿਲਿਟੀ ਕੀ ਆ ਉਹ ਕੰਟਰੀ ਵਾਸਤੇ ਕੀ ਕਰੂਗਾ ਤੇ ਕੰਟਰੀ ਦੇ ਨਾਲ ਨਾਲ ਜਦੋਂ ਕੰਟਰੀ ਵਾਸਤੇ ਕਰੂਗਾ ਤਾਂ ਸਾਡੇ ਵਾਸਤੇ ਵੀ ਕਰੂਗਾ। ਹੁਣ ਸਾਨੂੰ ਬੇਸਿਕਲੀ ਜਿੰਨੀ ਸਿੱਖਾਂ ਨੂੰ ਪ੍ਰੋਬਲਮਸ ਆ ਰਹੀਆਂ ਨੇ ਖਾਸ ਕਰਕੇ ਜਦੋਂ ਅਸੀਂ ਪੱਗ ਬੰਨ੍ਹਦੇ ਹਾਂ ਉਹਨਾਂ ਨੂੰ ਪ੍ਰੋਬਲਮ ਆ ਰਹੀਆਂ ਨੇ ਸਾਡਾ ਤਾਂ ਸਾਰਿਆਂ ਦਾ ਇਹੀ ਜ਼ੋਰ ਹੋਣਾ ਚਾਹੀਦਾ ਕਿ ਅਸੀਂ ਕੈਂਡੀਡੇਟ ਨੂੰ ਦੇਖ ਕੇ ਵੋਟ ਪਾਈਏ। ਉਸ ਤੋਂ ਵੱਡੀ ਗੱਲ ਬਾਈ ਜੀ ਹੁਣੀ ਸਾਰੇ ਜਿੰਨੇ ਡੈਮੋਕ੍ਰੈਟ ਤੇ ਰਿਪਬਲਿਕਨ ਉਹਨਾਂ ਨਾਲ ਰਿਲੇਟਡ ਹੈਗੇ ਨੇ ਤੇ ਇਹ ਵੀ ਉਹੀ ਬੰਦਾ ਦੇਖ ਕੇ ਚੂਜ਼ ਕਰਦੇ ਨੇ ਜਦੋਂ ਕਦੇ ਸਾਨੂੰ ਕੋਈ ਪ੍ਰੋਬਲਮ ਆਵੇ ਅਸੀਂ ਅੱਗੇ ਜਾ ਕੇ ਉਹਨਾਂ ਨੂੰ ਦੱਸ ਸਕੀਏ ਕਿ ਸਾਡੇ ਆਹ ਇਸ਼ੂਜ਼ ਨੇ ਉਹਨਾਂ ਨੂੰ ਸੋਲਵ ਕਰੋ। ਵੱਧ ਤੋਂ ਵੱਧ ਇਹੀ ਹੈ ਕਿ ਕਦੇ ਵੀ ਪਾਰਟੀ ਦੇ ਨਾਲ ਨਾ ਜਾ ਕੇ ਕੈਂਡੀਡੇਟ ਦੇ ਨਾਲ ਜਾਈਏ। ਜਿਵੇਂ ਕਿ ਹੁਣ ਕੋਈ 6 ਸਾਲ ਦੇ ਬੱਚੇ ਤੋਂ ਲੈ ਕੇ 50 ਸਾਲ ਦਾ ਬਜ਼ੁਰਗ ਕੋਈ ਵੀ ਸੇਫ ਨਹੀਂ, ਇੰਨਾ ਜ਼ਿਆਦਾ ਕ੍ਰਾਈਮ ਵੱਧ ਚੁੱਕਿਆ। ਭਾਵੇਂ ਸਟੇਸ਼ਨ ਤੇ ਲੈ ਲਓ ਭਾਵੇਂ ਤੁਸੀਂ ਕਿਤੇ ਵੀ ਸਬਵੇ ਤੇ ਲੈ ਲਓ ਬੱਸਾਂ ਦੇ ਵਿੱਚ ਲੈ ਲਓ। ਅਸੀਂ ਇਹ ਸੋਚਣ ਤੇ ਮਜਬੂਰ ਹੋਏ ਹਾਂ ਕਿ ਕੀ ਅਸੀਂ ਅਮਰੀਕਾ 'ਚ ਰਹਿੰਦੇ ਹਾਂ ਜਾਂ ਕਿਤੇ ਹੋਰ ਰਹਿੰਦੇ ਹਾਂ। ਨਿਊਯਾਰਕ ਸਿਟੀ ਦਾ ਤਾਂ ਇੰਨਾ ਜ਼ਿਆਦਾ ਮਾੜਾ ਹਾਲ ਕ੍ਰਾਈਮ ਦਾ ਹੋਇਆ। ਰਿਚਮੰਡ ਹਿੱਲ ਤੁਸੀਂ ਸਾਰੇ ਜਾਣਦੇ ਹੋ ਮਿਨੀ ਪੰਜਾਬ ਆ, ਉੱਥੇ ਹਰ ਦੂਜੇ ਦਿਨ ਕੋਈ ਨਾ ਕੋਈ ਇੱਦਾਂ ਦਾ ਕ੍ਰਾਈਮ ਹੁੰਦਾ ਤੇ ਹਰ ਰੋਜ਼ ਸਾਨੂੰ ਕੋਈ ਨਾ ਕੋਈ ਇੱਦਾਂ ਦੀ ਖਬਰ ਮਿਲਦੀ ਆ ਕਿ ਸਾਡੇ ਨਾਲ ਅਸਾਲਟ ਹੋ ਰਿਹਾ, ਇੱਥੇ ਧੱਕਾ ਹੋ ਰਿਹਾ ਹਰ ਜਗ੍ਹਾ ਤੇ। ਤਾਂ ਬੇਸਿਕਲੀ ਅੱਜ ਇਹ ਉਹਦੇ ਲਈ ਵੀ ਮਾਣ ਵਾਲੀ ਗੱਲ ਆ ਕਿ ਪੰਜਾਬੀ ਕਮਿਊਨਿਟੀ ਉਹਦੇ ਨਾਲ ਖੜੀ ਆ ਗਵਰਨਰ ਦੇ ਲਈ ਵੀ ਤੇ ਵੋਟਾਂ ਵੀ ਪਾਵਾਂਗੇ ਸਾਰਿਆਂ ਨੂੰ ਅਪੀਲ ਵੀ ਕਰਦੇ ਆ ਤੇ ਜਿੰਨੇ ਕੈਂਡੀਡੇਟ ਨੇ ਇਹ ਹੁੰਦੇ ਤਾਂ ਪਬਲਿਕ ਸਰਵੈਂਟ ਨੇ ਇਹਨੂੰ ਆਉਣਾ ਚਾਹੀਦਾ, ਇਹਨਾਂ ਨੂੰ ਦੇਖਣਾ ਚਾਹੀਦਾ, ਲੋਕਾਂ ਨਾਲ ਮਿਲਣਾ ਚਾਹੀਦਾ ਕਿ ਇਹਨਾਂ ਦੇ ਕੀ ਇਸ਼ੂਜ਼ ਨੇ ਉਹਨਾਂ ਤੇ ਕੰਮ ਕਰਨਾ ਚਾਹੀਦਾ ਨਾ
ਜੀ। ਥੈਂਕ ਯੂ ਸੋ ਮਚ। ਐਂਡ ਇੱਥੇ ਇਸ ਗੈਦਰਿੰਗ ਦੇ ਵਿੱਚ ਹੋਰ ਕਮਿਊਨਿਟੀ ਦੇ ਮੈਂਬਰਸ ਵੀ ਪਹੁੰਚੇ। ਇਟਸ ਨਾਟ ਜਸਟ ਪੰਜਾਬੀ ਸਿੱਖ ਇੰਡੀਅਨ ਸਾਊਥ ਏਸ਼ੀਅਨ, ਇੱਥੇ ਹੋਰ ਏਸ਼ੀਅਨ ਕਮਿਊਨਿਟੀ ਮੈਂਬਰਸ ਅਤੇ ਇਟਾਲੀਅਨ ਅਮਰੀਕਨ ਕਮਿਊਨਿਟੀ ਨੂੰ ਰਿਪਰੈਜ਼ੈਂਟ ਕਰਨ ਲਈ ਵੀ ਇੰਡੀਵਿਜੂਅਲਸ ਪਹੁੰਚੇ। ਸਰ, you're representing the Italian American community. You guys are really passionate about candidate Lee Zeldin. Seeing this kind of diversity, what message do you have for other communities that were once a minority or are today a minority on why they should be voting for Zeldin?
So the message is clear from Lee Zeldin and from all of us, because we're all first-generation Americans. We all came here for the American dream. We're all honest family men. We support our families, so the message is clear. Let's protect the honest American citizen and not the criminals. And when a crime is committed, you can't let them out on bail because all they're going to do, and it shows, is it's repeat offenders. So all we want to do is raise our families in peace. We're all in a neighborhood together and we all live in harmony, and that's all we're looking for.
Thank you so much for your time. ਇਹਦੇ ਨਾਲ ਹੀ ਹਾਂਜੀ no problem. In closing, what would you like to say to all of the South Asians, the Punjabi Americans that are watching on the power of casting their ballot?
The best thing we could do is, as we have our Asian American friends here and also our Indian friends, they improved the neighborhood. Mike, I remember Mike coming here and he improved this entire neighborhood because of what the work he does. We need more people like that. That's what we want, hardworking Americans, and that's what they are.
Thank you so much for your time. Hard-working Americans. ਅਖੀਰ ਦੇ ਵਿੱਚ of course ਕਿਸ ਤਰ੍ਹਾਂ ਤੁਹਾਨੂੰ ਅਸੀਂ ਨਹੀਂ ਤੁਹਾਡੇ ਤੋਂ ਬਾਈਟ ਲੈ ਸਕਦੇ, ਕੀ ਕਹਿਣਾ ਚਾਹੋਗੇ ਕਿ ਇੱਥੇ ਤੁਸੀਂ ਕੀ ਵੇਖਿਆ, ਕੀ ਤੁਸੀਂ ਮੈਸੇਜ ਦੇਣਾ ਚਾਹੁੰਦੇ ਹੋ ਲੋਕਾਂ ਨੂੰ?
ਸਾਰੀ ਕਮਿਊਨਿਟੀ ਨੂੰ ਸਤਿ ਸ੍ਰੀ ਅਕਾਲ। ਸਭ ਤੋਂ ਪਹਿਲਾਂ ਸਾਨੂੰ ਮਾਣ ਆ ਸਾਡੇ ਛੋਟੇ ਭਰਾ ਕਰਮਜੀਤ ਤੇ ਐਡੀ ਵੱਡੀ ਕਾਨਫਰੰਸ ਕੀਤੀ ਇੱਥੇ ਗਵਰਨਰ ਦੀ। ਸਾਰਾ ਅਮਰੀਕਨ ਮੀਡੀਆ ਤੇ ਸਾਰੀਆਂ ਕਮਿਊਨਿਟੀਆਂ ਇਕੱਠੀਆਂ ਹੋਈਆਂ ਸੀ। ਗੈਸ ਸਟੇਸ਼ਨ ਨਹੀਂ ਲੱਗਦਾ ਸੀ, ਕੋਈ ਐਂ ਲੱਗਦਾ ਸੀ ਕੋਈ ਅਸੈਂਬਲੀ ਹਾਲ ਹੈ ਜਾਂ ਸਿਟੀ ਹਾਲ ਹੈ। ਐਡੀ ਪ੍ਰਮਾਤਮਾ ਦੀ ਕਿਰਪਾ ਹੋਈ ਕਿ ਸਾਡੇ ਬਾਈ ਦੀ ਮਿਹਰਬਾਨੀ ਆ, ਛੋਟੇ ਭਰਾ ਦੀ ਮੇਰੇ ਦੀ ਕਰਮਜੀਤ ਸਿੰਘ ਢਾਲੀਵਾਲ ਦੀ। ਤੇ ਅਸੀਂ ਸਾਰਿਆਂ ਨੂੰ ਸਪੋਰਟ ਕਰਦੇ ਹਾਂ ਵੀ ਕੋਈ ਪਾਰਟੀ ਨਾ ਦੇਖੋ, ਤੁਸੀਂ ਲੀਡਰ ਦੇਖੋ ਵੀ ਕਿਹੜਾ ਵਧੀਆ ਕੰਮ ਕਰ ਰਿਹਾ। ਜਿਵੇਂ ਕਿ ਅਸੀਂ ਗਵਰਨਰ ਦੀ ਸਪੋਰਟ ਤੇ ਕਹਿੰਦੇ ਆ ਕਿ ਲੀ ਜ਼ੈਲਦਾਨ ਨੂੰ ਵੋਟ ਪਾਓ ਤੇ ਨਿਊਯਾਰਕ ਨੂੰ ਸੇਫ ਕਰੋ। God bless America. Thank you. So once again, ਕੱਲ ਸ਼ਾਮ ਦੀ ਡਿਬੇਟ ਤੋਂ ਬਾਅਦ ਕੈਥੀ ਹੋਕਲ ਕਰੰਟ ਗਵਰਨਰ ਵਰਸਸ ਲੀ ਜ਼ੈਲਡਨ ਜੋ ਕਿ ਗਵਰਨਰ ਦੇ ਕੈਂਡੀਡੇਟ ਖੜੇ ਹਨ ਰਿਪਬਲਿਕਨ ਪਾਰਟੀ ਤੋਂ, ਤੁਸੀਂ ਆਪ ਸੁਣਿਆ ਕਿ ਕ੍ਰਾਈਮ that is the main topic. ਇਹੀ ਵੱਡਾ ਮੁੱਦਾ ਬਣਿਆ ਹੋਇਆ ਨਿਊਯਾਰਕ ਦੇ ਵਿੱਚ, ਸ਼ਾਇਦ ਯੂਨਾਈਟਿਡ ਸਟੇਟਸ ਦੇ ਵਿੱਚ। ਕੀ ਇਹ ਮੁੱਦਾ ਲੀ ਜ਼ੈਲਡਨ ਨੂੰ ਇੱਕ ਹਿਸਟੋਰਿਕ, ਇੱਕ ਇਤਿਹਾਸਿਕ ਜਿੱਤ ਦੇ ਸਕਦਾ ਹੈ ਇੱਕ ਟ੍ਰੈਡੀਸ਼ਨਲੀ ਬਲੂ ਡੈਮੋਕ੍ਰੈਟਿਕ ਸਟੇਟ ਦੇ ਵਿੱਚ? ਕੀ ਇੱਕ ਰਿਪਬਲਿਕਨ ਗਵਰਨਰ ਫਿਰ ਬਹਿ ਸਕਦਾ ਹੈ ਆਲਬਨੀ ਦੇ ਵਿੱਚ? ਇਹ ਦੇਖਾਂਗੇ 2 ਹਫ਼ਤਿਆਂ ਦੇ ਵਿੱਚ। ਇਹਦੇ ਨਾਲ ਹੀ ਪ੍ਰੋਗਰਾਮ ਦੀ ਸਮਾਪਤੀ ਕਰਦੇ ਹਾਂ। ਤੁਸੀਂ ਵੇਖ ਰਹੇ ਹੋ ਅੱਜ ਦਾ ਮੁੱਦਾ। ਸਾਡੇ ਲਈ ਕੋਈ ਕੁਐਸਚਨਸ, ਕਮੈਂਟਸ, ਕੰਸਰਨਸ ਤੁਸੀਂ ਜ਼ਰੂਰ ਸਾਨੂੰ ਲਿਖ ਸਕਦੇ ਹੋ info@justbroadcasting.com, aashmeeta@justbroadcasting.com। ਹੁਣ ਸਾਨੂੰ ਦਿਓ ਇਜਾਜ਼ਤ। ਸਤਿ ਸ਼੍ਰੀ ਅਕਾਲ।